agenda, and I would ask if someone would make a motion to amend so that the first thing we discuss is the videotape question.
Move to amend the agenda so that the first item will be the videotape issue.
Is there a second?
I'll second. If nobody did already.
Another country heard from, so Stan's the only
Those
one
in
now.
favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. So, the issue of the videotape, I'm sure you all got the email, because I think I heard from all of you. And the issue isn't that the meetings are being videotaped, the issue is where the videotapes are being seen, where they're going. And, you know, this is a private corporation. It isn't a public entity, and I'm concerned personally that this is going out on YouTube and that it's going out on Facebook, not as a private Facebook group, but as a group that can be shared with anybody else. And others have expressed similar opinions. So I said before we go further with this, I think we should toss it out there and let the board decide what we want to do about it.
Well, I think it's beneficial if it's only getting to the tenants up front, but if it's going elsewhere, is there a way of limiting it just to those people?
Well, with the YouTube videos, you can set them to unlisted,
Yeah.
or private. Now, if it's private, only people that log into the accounts could see it. So, we could create like one YouTube account and give everyone the password to it and see it, but they could also post other things in it. So that's not really the best method.
Right.
Now, the unlisted would make it so that anyone going to YouTube wouldn't be able to search and for, you know, North Ave Cooperative and come up with all the videos. They would have to actually have the actual link.
Okay.
So that might be a good option, but if they do have the link, they could publish it around and share it. But of course, if they have screen capture, even if it was private, they could screen capture the video and post it. I mean, there's no way to really prevent someone from sharing a video if they really want to.
Can we keep them, just hold them in some format where somebody can request to see it and give it back or something? Or?
I mean, have like hold a special viewing of it or something?
Well, either that or have it in like CD form or something. Says the complete idiot about these things.
Well, I mean, say we have about 20 or so people that want this DVDs of it. Would you want to have DVDs made for all those 20 or so people every week?
No, but if see, we don't have an office. That's the trouble. If we had an office, we could have it. People could come if they wanted to and see it.
I think like what the real issue though is that with last time, it's not such a big deal. It's just when things become personal, and I mean, I understand it's like the residents, the communities has the right to know, but I think it's just out of it's better taste to eliminate some of the stuff that was on there. So
yeah, I think that
actually I disagree. That is not where I'm coming from at all. Because we discuss things here, like when we're talking about the number of people who are behind on their taxes and the amount of, you know, things like that. That, in my opinion, should not be going out where anybody in the world can look at it and have information about that. I don't want to put Jeremy or Heavenly in a position where they're going to be editing and then wondering, you know, did we edit the way people want it, and are people going to question what we took out, and is there secrecy involved? And the minutes are here. People can read the minutes. They can get a copy of the minutes if they want them and know what's going on at the meeting. We could, if there's no objection, we could post the minutes on the
I think the minutes. That's what the minutes are.
By email or something.
That's what the minutes are.
Posting it.
That's what the minutes are for too. Is that the minutes are what people should be informed of as far as what went on at the meeting. Really.
I see that too. I think is a better idea, because that way, if you do have an instance like that, you don't have to. You're not necessarily writing down like, so and so's very upset right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it gives, because you just don't want to alienate or upset people that you're that are in the community. So I think minutes is a good idea. I think it's great for people to be able to see the videos, and it's a wonderful idea. But after last time, I think there needs to be some sort of compromise.
And the thing is, it's very obvious that Heavenly's videotaping,
Yeah, that
because
is
she's
something
standing
too,
there,
yeah.
but that doesn't mean everybody even tunes into the fact. And we
Yeah.
don't say, by the way, everything you say is going to be on videotape. We were taken by surprise. You were
Right.
there.
I mean, I always forget
So
too.
nobody, you
It
forget
was
after a
like
while.
I was like, oh yeah, that's right.
Nobody
Yeah, that's right.
expected that to happen. I mean, things just deteriorated, just went so fast.
Yeah, and that's why I'm saying, like, you have the minutes, it kind of it's finding a balance where people don't get their feelings hurt, and also people get the transparency.
Could we now perhaps continue videotaping the meetings except for executive session, but not post them on YouTube now, and let the minutes speak for our meetings for now so that we don't have something like that happen again, but then they'll be available if the time comes when
I would
people
say
want
that
to.
we probably should announce that, because there's people that rarely watch this every week, and if all of a sudden they're told, oh, by the way, because they asked for it. If I don't post it within 1 or 2 days, I get emails saying, there's a video coming up soon.
Yeah, if a resident can't attend for some reason, they will watch it later on
Yeah.
when they do have time.
And
Or,
they're
for example, the Vietnamese families in the park, they may have their interpreter watch it with them and interpret the meetings for them so they know what's going on.
Yeah, I know one in particular that's
So.
always asking for it right after the meeting. One Vietnamese.
Now that we have a domain, is it easier to go that way, where it's harder to share? Just
You
have a
mean,
link on the domain, on our website,
like password protected?
so that members only have access?
Well, that's the thing. I did mention that as a possibility.
Right.
They all have to.
That would put a lot more strain. We might, right now, I provide, a decent amount of space for like
Right.
email and such, but full streaming capability might incur additional costs. It depends on how much streaming happens.
Right.
I mean, I post in pretty high quality.
Right,
I could possibly really degrade them, but,
like a zip file or something?
well, in order to stream, it has to be.
Okay,
But then you also have to, would we have just one username and password for everyone in the park? Because then they could share that, or do we want to create accounts for everyone in the park, and would everyone want to be able to go through that process of creating an account just to view a video?
because I also know, because what threw me was, it says on the Facebook page, closed group,
Yeah. and that
Yeah.
is-
but it isn't. It isn't, because it's got the share button on every single post. Because I tried it out. I can click share and share it with anybody who has a Facebook account.
Okay, yeah, but the actual posting on the group itself, the post there cannot be seen by anyone unless.
No, you can.
If
You
you
can
share
share
it,
it.
well, can you
Well, yeah, but
can you
that's-
disable
That's
that?
an act of someone
But,
sharing outside the group, but.
right, but that's part of the issue. I mean, if someone shares it with the media, for example, then anybody has access to it.
Well, there's no really way to eliminate that, even if it was shared on the website.
Some post groups, I thought, you don't have the ability to share. You
I
have
didn't
the
see
ability to like, and you have the ability to comment but not share.
I mean, really, too, you can take with your cell phone a screenshot. There are so many
Yeah,
ways
screen
to
cap.
get.
There's a lot of
Yeah, even if
There's-
we password protect on the website, you could do a screen cap.
Yeah, with the internet, you're basically, there's no way with Facebook, with whatever, to be completely free of sharing.
And once it's there forever, which is the other.
Yeah, so there's so much great about the internet, but it's also really annoying. And if you want complete anonymity or security, the internet's.
It raises the question, what exactly would people say about the videos? Since we're not videotaping executive session, what exactly about the regular meetings is it that we need to really secure from people outside, or they'd be even interested in?
What happened last time?
You
When
think
it-
there'd be
when it
strong interest
became-
of people outside the park?
Well, when
See
it
that?
became personal, very personal. I mean, ideally, if it had been turned off when we suddenly realized it happened so fast and so unexpectedly, it took us by surprise. If it had been turned off at that point, or something had been said, by the way, you're being videotaped or something, but we weren't prepared for that. I'm not blaming anybody. I'm just saying, but that I think that went on YouTube is very much an issue for me.
I don't
Or
know
we
if
could
one-
do.
Well, I was gonna say, I don't know if one of you two mentioned it, but I think it's what he was asking something a little bit different. How about if you're talking about what people owe taxes and stuff like that getting out to the general public, or that getting to media sources or stuff like that. What happened last week is a much different
Both-
issue, but
Both of those things.
no, they are, but they're all
Yeah.
relevant. But I'm just saying to get back to your question, like what you're.
I could propose two things for both of those. First of all, don't we, when we talk about someone personal, like when we're mentioning names, don't we do that in executive session, usually?
Yes.
Yes.
And then, I would say that maybe going forward, it might be wise for us to introduce, when we do start the meeting, say, that for your convenience, this is being recorded, and then before open forum as well, so that people, when they come to speak, know that it's being recorded, and provide them an option to speak with us maybe outside the recording.
Well, another concern I have is some people are not comfortable being recorded, period. They're not comfortable being videotaped, and they may be, well, you made it. Welcome, welcome. They may not be as comfortable speaking their mind, knowing that they're being videotaped for anybody to see, as they would if they're just in a board meeting with members and tenants, that it's going to stay within our group. And that's a concern about that as well.
One of us suggested having a bowl where people, this is forgetting about the videotape just in general, but with that too, where people could put questions in if they weren't comfortable speaking. So that's one way around that.
And another option too for that, along with that, for people that don't come here, one thing I just thought of, we could throw up a anonymous form on the website, so people could just post a question, comment, and there'd be nothing associated with that.
That's a good idea. Because you can do process of elimination if they're right here too.
And then we could just read the questions out loud here and answer them, so that way people could view the recordings, get their questions answered without actually putting a name to it.
Well, you know what I really like? Obviously, we all would like this. I think we would all like to see more people coming to these meetings.
Right.
So I'm wondering if it wasn't so easily accessible the way it is online, more people might decide to come to the meetings.
I had the same thought.
I'm not saying the videos are deterring them, but it just makes it very convenient for them to say, why should I go? I can watch it on YouTube at my convenience.
Well, I'm sure
which is
some are
great,
doing that.
But I'd rather see some participation and some interaction and you know, myself. I just think
Yeah.
it's more beneficial that way.
Yeah. And it makes people have more of a stake. It makes them part of the process instead of a passive observer.
But I also know there's some that would not just be able to come here either because of kids or because of work early in the morning, and they feel more involved because that they can see the video when they're under free time.
That's true too.
So, do you have a feel for maybe what percentage that might be? Is it 10 families that are coming because of that and rather see it on video? Because if so, maybe those are a way we could make sure they have access to that and only they get access to that by the password now, without having to do that for everybody.
I don't know an exact number.
Yeah, it'd be hard to figure that out, I guess.
We could ask, although people will just say, yeah, sure, even if they.
Right. You know, I think it should be encouraged to come to the meetings, obviously. We know that. So I don't know how much this is contributing to them not coming.
But some also might see the video and see that we're talking about issues they do care about,
Yeah.
and then come the next time too.
Yeah, it's hard to say.
Yeah.
So as
Could I ask, are they doing this at other board meetings?
What generally I've seen, I don't know if Real does anything like this, but at Homestead they record, they have and actually
Audio
built into an audio recording, and I think if people want that, they can go and talk to the board and get it. Otherwise, minutes are posted publicly. What I feel like might be a compromise is if, I mean, I don't know much about YouTube or things like that, but I know something like SoundCloud, you can make it private so a person can only access it if they click a specific link, which I think is something like you're talking about with.
Unlisted.
Yeah. But if it's maybe noted to people, if you want to see a video recording, contact Jeremy by this date and he will send you a thing. I mean, I guess that's because you do have both sides that are positive, and a disclaimer when you're here saying that this is being recorded, perhaps have a discussion. If somebody is not comfortable with it, then I don't know.
Conventionally though, recordings are only available upon request.
Yes.
With good reason. I mean, moving forward as we get into the results of property inspections and talk about expenses a little bit more.
We don't want the whole world in on it.
Yeah, and we have to have a lot of executive sessions, which would make people upset because we
They
do a
think
lot.
we're
Right.
not being
And when we're
Yeah.
talking especially about things like individuals that we may have looked at for to contract with, or what do we want to make for an offer, and things like that, I don't want that out on YouTube. It's totally
That's the
inappropriate.
offers and stuff should definitely be
And,
exactly that.
you know,
Yeah, that'd be exactly.
other organizations that I've been involved with, as Jeremiah said, they have tape recordings, and if you want to sit and listen to the recording, you ask permission, and you're given it for, you know, a few days so you can listen to it, but it is not general public information. This isn't a city council meeting, it isn't a public meeting, it's a private corporation.
Which I keep going back, is this for members only, or can anyone who lives in the trailer park attend?
The meetings?
Board
Yeah.
meetings?
Yeah.
Well, it's-
I know
it's
what you
interesting,
think.
Because right now, well, I guess the bylaws currently read that, I can't remember if it's the membership meetings are open to the public or all
Board meetings are
board meetings as well.
open to the
So,
public.
right now it's kind of, I think in a formative stage with your interim bylaws, it's set like that to encourage people to be
Come,
involved
right.
and residents to become members.
Right, so
But-
tenants could come.
But in the future,
Yeah,
the
right.
standard set of full bylaws is the meetings are for members.
Right.
So,
That's what I thought. Thank
yeah.
you.
Well, the other thing is we've been having so many meetings. I mean, that you're gonna if you have a an annual meeting, you're gonna have more of a turnout. But people, you know, this is really really working sessions to get organized as opposed to running the park down the line. So in that sense, I think it's less interesting at this point. You know, so if we sign something out like that, then at least if it shows up somewhere it shouldn't, you know who did it. But I'm leaning toward really.
We could do an expiring link, like a link that will expire after a few days or something like that, too. I'm imagining.
Well, you can always pull them.
Well, that too. I feel like there's some. Well, anyway, it doesn't matter. But I do think the web form though with anonymous questions is a great idea, despite all the trolls you're gonna get.
Yeah,
I
you'll have to
think
filter
that's-
that out, but.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask this question then. We don't have a motion on the floor, which we should have to discuss. But I don't think we were ready for a motion when we first started discussing. Are we ready for a motion? And what's the consensus of the board? You know, I'd rather have a vote, but if you want to do it by consensus, I don't, it's up to you. Does someone want to make a motion on how we deal with this in the future?
Has it been decided what you want?
No.
That's what we're deciding right now, is
Right.
whether or not we want these meetings videotaped and put on the website.
We have two
Because-
questions. One, whether they're videotaped. Two, where the videotape goes. Should we divide it?
Yeah, one, do you want them videotaped? Two, if we videotape them, do you want it posted as it is now so anybody can see it, or do you want it posted to a limited website? Or do you just want it held and if somebody requests it, Jeremy can send them a link to it? Or do you just not want it at all and we rely on the minutes?
Okay.
That's the question we need to answer.
Okay, so I move that we decide whether the board meetings should, except for executive session, should continue to be videotaped.
But they should be.
That they
No,
should
you
be.
said we moved to
We moved
decide.
to
You need
yeah,
to
I
move
did.
one way or the other.
I know.
Yeah. I just need the minutes reflect what you really want.
That would be helpful, yes. I can't do this. I'm really torn. I'm of more than one mind about this.
Can I make a motion then
Please do.
that, just to get it on the table? I make a motion that we just videotape, not decide what to do with it right now, but just, yes, we videotape. And go from there. At least get it on the table.
Okay,
So,
is there a second?
So you're saying just
I'll
to
second.
continue to?
to videotape, and then, okay, Jeremy, a second.
Okay, so the motion is that the meetings continue to be videotaped. Is there any further discussion on that motion? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay.
I abstain.
Okay, the motion carries. So now the question before us is, what do you want to happen with the videotape?
Right.
And does anyone have a motion?
I have a motion that they stay private. I don't want them on Facebook. I definitely don't want them on YouTube.
I second the motion.
You say
Okay,
private in one aspect.
Well,
though.
that was the question.
I need a definition before I can make a conscious
I was
decision.
gonna ask if you would
Okay.
clarify that. Do you mean
Not-
private just to the board or private just to
No.
the members?
Or by request. I don't want them on Facebook. I don't want them on YouTube. I don't want people to be able to just share them with whoever they want, or just anybody go look them up.
So videos available by request only.
And
Video that's fine.
I'm
By
seconding.
request from whom? If a member of the press wants to see it?
I would say by members.
By
Members only.
members, yeah. Or I feel okay with members or tenants, people who live in Israel Park.
It's your motion, so.
Okay, so
I'm
well,
And I'm
just-
seconding what she said, I'm seconding it exactly as she worded it.
not on Facebook.
Not on Facebook, not on YouTube. Because I don't, and see, we have a technology question, which neither she nor I is really addressing, but I don't know how it can be maintained privately for members only, or even members and tenants in those formats. And so therefore, if there were a way to do that, then I might change that, but I'm not aware of any way to really do that, so that's my
Okay.
reasoning.
And I agree, there's no real way of preventing it to get out.
Once it's-
Yeah.
All right,
Well,
to-
yeah, I mean, there is a way. Like the major media companies, because movies get posted on YouTube all the time.
Right.
By the thousands daily. And basically you can submit, if you copyright stuff, let's say it's copyrighted, then you can submit requests to YouTube on a daily basis to take them down when everything gets posted.
But that's,
Just to clarify though, would you mind restating the motion, Kelly? My understanding is that what Jeannie is seconding is that just the plain motion that the video not be posted on
Facebook or YouTube.
Facebook or YouTube or public media,
Yeah.
period.
yeah,
Is that
and
all
I'm,
right?
and I'm
And
saying.
then we'll
Yeah.
decide
Okay.
afterwards.
I'm just saying that my reasoning
Yeah, I
is that I
understand.
don't see how they could, and now Jeremy's, but this would require you sort of every day asking again that,
Well, let's get to that afterwards.
okay.
So right now, the motion on the floor is to go ahead and make videos accessible, but not Facebook, YouTube, or public media. Right, and that's what you
You've done it in
seconded.
two motions, and I'm seconding
Yeah.
what you said that second
Right.
time, and as
Okay.
Teresa restated it, yeah.
All
Okay.
right, we're clear about that? Is
It's a little
there any discussion?
I guess a question, how would they be provided?
Good question.
Well,
I
then-
was ask you that too. Can you use something other than YouTube? I mean,
Like
there's.
what?
Well, I guess my feeling would, if you wanted to send somebody a URL or a DVD, that would be okay to me. But not just this blanket Facebook, YouTube, public media, where there isn't any kind of control or any idea of like who's seeing it, where it's going.
Just a quick point about that. Even if we do give the file or the disc or the video to someone that's in the park, they could always upload it to YouTube on their own account.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
But
it's not a
that would be
perfect
their
system.
responsibility, and that would be,
Yeah.
We could have them sign something saying that they won't do that it's for their use only, and
Mhm.
that it's,
Yeah.
$10,000 and 10 years in jail if you upload it.
we double your lot rent.
Right.
Something we have control
Yeah.
over. But, yeah, we could
That
do
would be
that.
a way
We
to
could,
do that.
So each person would get a DVD then, every week?
Not
No,
necessarily.
no, just if someone requested it, and what you could do is you could have like a sign out. So maybe you have like 5 DVDs available, period, and you have to, if like a 6th person says, I'd like to borrow it, you'll have to say like, once one of the DVDs are returned, I'll let you have it. Something like that. Because we don't have
Would
the
we
kind
even
of
need that many?
sources. I don't think so.
that's what I was
I'd start with
thinking.
one and see how many people are asking
Exactly.
for
I,
it.
I hate to keep talking and bringing things up, but it's necessarily my place. But I think if you have some sort of, I mean, I feel like you kind of need YouTube. I don't know if you can post videos on SoundCloud. Maybe there's Vimeo or something. But you would have the same rate of people copying or posting or whatever if you did people will contact you, ask for a link, you send them a link, and most websites you can say like this link lasts for 5 days or something like that, and then after that people click on the link and it doesn't work anymore. Like there are lots of ways to, I mean, technology is great, like there are a lot of different avenues that can go, but I think at the very least right now, if you want a motion on the table or you want something to move forward, that they're available by request only, and then maybe we need to have a discussion with Jeremy next week so he can see what he can do, because you're really
Well,
sad.
that's what the motion is right now, is that they're available by request only, right?
But
Tape will not be put on the media
Well,
here, and
could we possibly make it so that the next one, because people are expecting this one to be,
Also
maybe-
because it wasn't on the agenda for tonight's meeting.
yeah. So maybe make an exception for this one, but maybe the next one to start.
no, that's another thing we'll have to decide, but for right now, if we could stick to this motion. You wanna rephrase, you wanna state it again?
Okay, so, cause you're seconding it, so
I
I wanna be careful about how I change it, is, that the motion would be that it's available by request, but not just blanketly put on Facebook, YouTube, or public media. That's it, yeah. How do you wanna word it?
The way you did the first time.
Which is basically not Facebook, YouTube, or
And
public
that
media.
and that we figure out another way to make it available, and that we find out how many people want it. Because again, maybe one DVD would be enough to share it around for the ones that really want to sit and watch it, or as you said, if they need an interpreter to have it available for that. And then see, and if it turns out that there are a lot more, then address that.
My guess is probably most are probably not bothered with the DVD, they'll probably just not watch it altogether, but you probably have a few.
I mean, I only saw one request on Facebook for the video.
Oh, usually I get them by email.
Okay.
So how many requests you typically
Yeah,
get,
that's
just out of
what I'm
curiosity?
Well, I mean, I usually get it up fast enough, but there's some people that want to see it like
So
the
it's
day or
hard to
just
say.
right
Like
after.
how many of those people? Like how many people?
What, that ask for like the day after?
No, in general, how many people have asked you for the video?
We can see
Period.
the number of views.
How many different people?
Or do you know how many hits
5 or
it's
so.
got?
Oh, well, there's probably about, the last one I think had about 30 to 40 views, complete views, I think.
That's good. What is
That's what I was gonna say, the number
what
of
is the
views.
demand of it?
People who don't come to the meetings and wanna know what happened.
I mean, they're members.
Hopefully, yeah.
Not
We don't
necessarily.
know.
That's the
Well, that's
problem.
it.
We don't know if they're members
I
or
mean,
The
not.
person that called me was not a member.
Right.
I was kind of dumbfounded, but
Because if they're members, I mean, okay, 1 or 2 meetings they miss, but they can go to the next one, you know?
The other thing is 40 views, it could be
I can't see 30.
people coming back to watching some and then coming back to watch more of it too.
Possible.
So we don't really, it's not
That's what I'm saying,
necessarily-
it's really hard to know.
Yeah, it's hard to know. Whereas if we signed it out, we would.
so the motion right now is not on Facebook, not YouTube, not public media, but
And
to
that's what I'm-
decide how to make it available
Right,
in the near future.
and that's what I'm seconding.
We need to finish
Okay,
that.
are we ready for the question? Are we ready to vote on this motion? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay.
Nay.
Motion carries. So, what I would suggest is that we put on next week's agenda the question of how to make the videos available, and that would give, if we have any ideas, if we have other friends, we may have ideas, Jeremy's gonna have some ideas, but put it on next week's agenda. Is that, do we have a consensus, or do you wanna have any ideas for right now that you wanna bring up?
You could probably include that in your poll, right? Like what would work for you? You know, just use this week to troubleshoot. How can we make it available? Who's you know, wanting it? What's the best way to get it? You know, how many people really are using it?
So
And-
are we still not gonna, are we cutting off this week?
That was
or-
gonna be my next question. Should we put this one up this week with a note that says, this is not gonna be available on video in the future? I mean, if you want, I could write something that says, we really want people to come to the meetings. We're trying to figure out a way to keep everyone informed without putting this out on public media.
But I see no harm in putting it out this time, because I think they'll see this discussion and understand why we're having
So you wanna make that
That's a
motion?
good point.
it. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Because they're gonna understand it, it's
Yes.
just to benefit us and make sure information isn't getting put out there where it should be, that's all it's about.
And it's true that there was no notice about
Right,
this being on
yes.
the agenda
So out of fairness,
also,
I say
so.
we post it and allow them to watch it, and then they'll be able to hear it for themselves.
Okay, I see consensus, so I'm not gonna ask for a vote. We'll
Okay.
post this one this week.
Out of fairness, I think we should,
Yes.
we should do it.
And on the agenda for next week, we'll just,
How to disseminate it.
how to,
Yeah, and you'll have more information from who's watching it.
right.
Yeah.
You get
So
some
anyone
better
out there
feedback.
who's watching this on YouTube or Facebook, contact a board member if you have any ideas or if you wanna let us know why you're watching it, and instead of coming to the meetings.
Plus I think this kind of echoes with what we decided on about who we would and wouldn't invite to meetings and how we would invite. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It kind of stays in line with that model, so.
Yeah. Okay, if we can get back to the agenda now, we're late again. Action on the minutes of the February 19th meeting, you all should have gotten a copy, or you got it on,
Disagree with it all.
it all got emailed, pardon?
I disagree with it all.
You do? That makes life
Well, you know what
more
happens when
interesting.
you do that.
What's that?
You
Stan, I
become the
printed
person
up
that
an
has to
extra
take the
copy,
minutes.
but we gotta get you clicked in with email somehow.
I'll just take them from you. I just took the minutes. They're all done.
Kelly's taking the minutes. These are just notes because I can't remember anything for 3
Is
minutes.
there a motion to adopt the minutes
I move that
Sure.
we adopt the minutes from that date.
as presented?
Yes.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries, thank you. Treasurer's report.
Okay, you all should have gotten the latest update.
Yep.
The membership total from that one has remained the same, 73. Total payments is now $1,900. We have a new category of payments on hold. Those are $65, which are now members that are payments for memberships that may not be complete due to some error with their information. And then total owed to us is $5,400. Total held in our account at Merchants Bank is $1,760. Total owed to us from CDI is $25. And I'm currently holding $115.
I have a question.
Sure.
Are we still
Excuse me,
asking?
could we have a motion?
Sorry.
Before we discuss the treasurer's report, is there a motion to adopt?
I move that we adopt the treasurer's report.
Second.
Okay. Jean?
How are we collecting money now? Are people coming to you, or are they going to CDI? How exactly are we doing that? I mean, do you have the checkbook for merchants?
Yes, I do.
So people will come to you?
Or they come to board members, like Kelly actually provided me the last
That's
two.
on the agenda
But we're
tonight.
Or
doing
no.
that, okay,
Yeah, I have a
Okay.
sample letter.
great, okay.
But the money I'm holding right now actually came from the last meeting, because we had a meeting and 2 members were here and paid the remaining part towards their membership fees.
And then just one mailed one in. Yeah. 3 payments since last.
So where are they mailing them if they mail them?
Well, one mailed it to me because I had sent her out the letter.
Okay, so it could be to any of us though. And then, but Jeremy has a checkbook, so
Yes.
any money that comes, we can go straight and
Yep.
give it to him, okay.
How are we doing on people who have to have the $25 paid by a certain date? Are we,
That's on the agenda right now. That's on the agenda, yeah.
okay,
We're not, because we hadn't had a plan yet.
okay.
That was supposed to be discussed last week, but we didn't get to it.
If I may, one quick question?
Yeah.
Any new status on maybe before that, been put on suspend, anything from any of those folks?
From those, I got 1 letter back that it was undeliverable. I got 2 phone calls.
So again, response.
I've gotten 4 total responses. 1 filled back their membership and another one mailed, but other than that, it's nothing. So basically,
I gotta get mine in.
yes, you do. So, and this is just a proposal. I just drafted this up this morning, and it's a mail merge that draws off from Jeremy's membership list for those people who have not yet reached 25%. And I used, just for the purpose of the letter, I used the May 22nd date as the date we need it by, but we could do a different date. I don't know.
Yeah, if that's the date we need it by, we should probably make it earlier.
Yeah.
So that would give us time to follow up on people who haven't done it yet.
Yeah.
We don't want to miss the date.
Yeah. And I was thinking of, oh, thank you, my letters.
It looks like the same thing.
Yes, she had extras, so she came
Oh,
around.
okay.
I didn't know how many people were going to be here. So, this is a mail merge, so you'll see some funky stuff in here, like the first name, last name, because again, it's drawing off from his spreadsheet. I wanted to make it convenient, so I included all of us, but if somebody objects to that, we can take their name off, their phone and their address. I signed it from all of us rather than, and Bob, correct me if I'm wrong, but you guys were okay with being like the membership committee and going door to door, but you didn't necessarily want to go back and asking for money, right?
I'll go back.
You'll go back? Okay, great.
I already did once, but didn't show up today.
Yeah. So, so we could do this a couple different ways. We could prepare the letters and have the membership committee go door to door with the specific letters, because then they'll have right in front of them how much that specific person still owes in order to reach their 25%. And if they're not there, they could leave the letter for them, or we could mail them out. I'm not sure, because again, we don't have funds.
Yeah, that's the problem, is we don't have funds, but when it's something like collecting money and something that can interfere with membership, I think they should be mailed.
Yeah.
Unless a certain number are taken care of, and then we would just mail the rest, and it wouldn't cost as much.
Right.
So.
So we're talking about basically 42 people who owe $20, 2 people who owe $15, and 4 people who owe $5 in order to get to the 25%. That's counting the 69 members, 4 are on hold, and it comes up to a total of $890.
But is that total amount, or is that each of them have paid their 25%? Like some have already paid more than 25%.
Right, that's not counting anybody above 25%. These are just your 25%, people who owe something to get to the 25%.
That's not bad.
No.
That's not bad at all.
I also agree, unless anybody else objects, that we should all be on here just so that to share the, so that it isn't all falling on one person's shoulders. I mean,
Yeah.
that's one of the reasons we have this many on the board. So. And we're home at different times also.
A melon? Everybody wants a melon? Because this, we could, I mean, I don't know how you feel, like you're saying that, you know, because it has to do with dues and money and everything, that this go out specifically, but we could do a mailing with our next newsletter.
It's not because just because it has to do with dues, it's because it has to do with whether somebody will be a member, will be a member in good standing. So that's, and it's also important this time because we're trying to show that we can have participation and people are involved and won't be deadbeats. So for those reasons. But
Okay.
but that doesn't, you know, we don't have to. I'm just saying that we need to use money sparingly, but just for this.
Okay.
I think it would be worth.
It is a small number.
That's it. That it's not going to. It's only going to the ones that. Well, I'm not on that list, am I?
No.
Okay, good. I couldn't remember how much I paid, so.
No, you're not.
Okay. Okay. So
Does anyone want to
Yes,
see on the
make
letter?
a-
Does everybody like the letter?
Make a motion?
yeah, I think it's
Yeah, I
I
think
think
it's
it's nice,
fine.
straightforward. Yeah. Yeah.
No.
gonna make a motion?
No, but I can.
Go ahead, go for it.
I'll make a motion to accept it, and we're gonna mail them, is that what we're gonna do?
That would be the motion.
That's the motion.
I second it.
I thought this was the motion, but I guess we're mailing.
Make good motions here.
Do we want to amend to change the date of when it needs, where does it say the
Oh.
date that it needs to be returned?
It's in the second paragraph, second line at the very end, May
Okay.
22nd.
Do we wanna make it maybe a week earlier than that? And then we'd have time to follow up if they didn't. So that would be
You have like a couple days.
15th?
Does
The
anybody
15th
have-
would
I
be a
have
Friday.
calendar. Oh,
That's
you
right
do,
there.
okay.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a week.
Okay.
Friday the 15th? So some people get their checks in the middle of the month.
So
Yeah, so
that
it
date,
very depends on
so
the birthday.
technically the 25% is due by closing.
I know, but we
Yeah.
had to kind of pick a date.
Pick date.
Otherwise,
That's
like,
what I figured.
we're gonna have to like chase people down.
Yeah, and it's a floating.
Yeah.
Who knows when that.
Yeah, we don't know when it's gonna be yet.
So yeah, as long, I mean, if you put this out there and you draw a deadline, that's fine. Just as long as you're aware that.
Yeah.
Well, she says in order to ensure
Yeah. So
that
it's,
it's
Yeah.
gotta before
why I didn't speak
closing,
to it
we
sooner,
need it by,
but-
so
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
Before
Because
seven,
I'm
yeah.
finding that the letters that we sent out regarding the membership, like the discrepancies and stuff, like I'm not hearing back from people. And it might be because we didn't put, you know, please try to take care of this by a certain date,
Yeah.
you know?
I think it's good. I was making
Okay.
sure that you're aware that.
Yeah.
They don't, yeah, we can't,
Yeah, because come the
we can't-
22nd, I'm gonna be disappointed.
Yeah.
We're not signing on
And
the
I don't
dotted
know, like, some
line.
people do it.
Yeah,
It's different
I know.
from me,
So the
But
15th.
it's good.
And checks also, they don't, it's not middle and end, they're checks that come out based on your birthday, the third
Yeah.
Wednesday
Oh,
or the
yes.
fourth Wednesday, that kind of stuff, so.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay,
But this way, it also gives those people who are on fixed income a little time to budget.
right,
Okay, are we ready to vote?
okay.
All those in favor of Kelly sending this letter, as we discussed, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. And while we're still on the subject of money,
I know, that's good.
this money that we've collected for dues, by the way I understand it, is this money needs to be held in escrow so that we can pay it back if, God forbid, the sale doesn't go through. In the meantime, how do people get reimbursed for expenses?
Good question. Well, it does say in the membership agreement that you can be refunded your dues less any expenditures from that account that are needed for printing papers, buying DVDs, or whatever you decide. But that's
That's
we-
not escrow.
Everybody's,
That's not escrow.
right,
That's
everybody's gonna want their $100 back if this doesn't go
Yeah.
through. And,
Yeah, I don't think that was clear.
And so we don't have any operating funds,
right,
we're relying on the kindness of strangers.
is there any of the, grant money that we got that may be used for operating funds in the meantime, or
Yeah, that's all allocated for the.
that's
the
earmarked,
maintenance
that's,
contract,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, then we would either not be reimbursed or hand out or send around a hat or ask you guys if you can do an occasional mailing? Are
Which-
those the options?
Yeah, well, we can do that. We have another mailing to do for the income surveys at some point, for example. So we can work that way around. My other suggestion would be to just, if you can, out of the graciousness of your hearts, save your receipts until the point when it's,
Well, I think that would be asking a lot of Kelly. I mean, I don't mind,
Yeah.
I've got, just ink and paper at this point, but Kelly's put out quite a bit of money
yeah.
for mailings, for stamps, for ink, for paper, for,
CBOEO are also, not to throw them under the bus or out there, but they're really good for helping out with mailings and stuff too.
you
Well,
know,
we can do targeted mailings, just not.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we're not, it's not like it's just for something like this where we have a limited number, it isn't for everybody.
Yeah. And inevitably, we have to do one income survey mailing, and then we're not going to get the threshold we need the first time, so we'll have to do a second. So we can work with you on covering those costs.
Mhm.
But do save your receipts for
Yeah,
for the rest.
yeah.
I can have to absorb some of the
I was
costs
gonna
if
say,
this requires an
I think we can pass the hat if necessary, especially if it doesn't work, but at this point, I wouldn't wanna formally, you know, if all else fails, I
Yeah.
think all of us would pass, but
Yeah, I mean, I have, you know, Jeremy had the reimbursement, and I've got one now that's $100. But I still have paper on that and ink on that, you know what I mean, that we can use towards this. It's just that it'll be the envelopes and the stamps. So if somebody wanted to buy those, for example, and let's just hold on to those receipts.
How many envelopes?
What did I just read off?
Yeah, anything that I've done today, I don't want to be reimbursed for. I'll have to do this.
Would be 48
48 total, so you
Yeah.
need 50 probably.
plus
50
postage.
stamps.
Yeah.
Yeah, see what I can do.
so nobody's working in an office where you can borrow them, I'm
No.
gathering. Okay.
Well, maybe at our next meeting of all of the members, we can explain that we need some operating money and actually literally pass a hat there
Maybe that.
to see
Yeah,
if we can
have a
get some help
fishbowl or
with
a hat.
supplies and things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it would be interesting to see if people do contribute too. It would be a sign of,
Well, even a couple of
Possible.
bucks from it each
Yeah.
week from, you know,
yeah.
maybe we could
At
put
the
it
tenants meeting.
at the, maybe we could put something on the bottom of the agenda, pass the hat for expenses, just so they'll know that we're gonna do that.
I don't know,
Because we
maybe it's
don't.
better, maybe it's better not to do it
Well,
in
some
the
people,
spirit of
if
the
they,
moment.
if you don't know,
Oh, that's true,
they don't bring
right,
their
that's right.
wallets or their
I
purses.
didn't have money to that first one, yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
Okay, credit cards.
That's the trouble, yeah,
Yeah,
everything's
I
plastic
don't-
now.
Look at my
Okay.
purse, I probably have $3 in cash, I don't carry it.
You're
Okay.
wealthy.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
So
Dr.
one,
Conlon.
so the one option will be to do that, but then we need to know what the costs are, and then we could get, it can go straight to Jeremy to count it up and throw it in the bank.
Yeah.
What
And
about
Bob,
but we have to earmark it as operating costs.
Bob has a question,
Yeah.
if you don't mind.
If these people that haven't signed up yet, if I sign them up, you want me to charge $5 or $25? To reflect in the
Well,
bill?
it's the same as it's been, it's $5 to sign up, but they need to pay the 25 by May 15th.
So
Okay,
they've
so
got-
I'll tell them that.
They've got 2.5
Yeah.
months
Okay.
to try to pull it
Question.
together. Okay, okay.
What about labels? How are you doing? Are you gonna print that envelope?
I'm just gonna print right onto the envelopes.
Okay, so that kind of jumped ahead in the agenda a bit, but that's good, because we got it.
I have something for other
I'm
business,
sorry,
by
that's
the way,
yours.
at the
Okay.
end, at the end.
Yes.
Okay, so to continue with the agenda,
Yeah, what about it? He's not
to
even-
continue with the agenda,
This is an agenda.
we're on discussion and adoption of descriptions of committee responsibilities.
I haven't gotten feedback from what I gave out, and I will be the first to acknowledge that I have not had a chance to work on it since then. So anybody who wants to say anything about it? There we go, okay.
I didn't even look at it.
Here, let me get just the Stan, I have a bunch of, I have other things with Stan's name on them too, wait a second. These are, ideas for
Operation. And then committee standing orders. And then she did one for specific committees. And I did one on bylaws and policies. So, do we want to start with the purpose and operation? You want me to read this real quickly, so if people don't have copies, I'm sorry, I didn't think to make extra copies, I should have.
excuse me, what did I do?
Then it'll be in the board of directors and should work strictly within the charges given them by the board of directors. Each committee will have a board member assigned to them as a liaison. Committee members play a supportive role to the board by doing research, gathering information, tabulating data, making comparisons, determining cost operations, and presenting recommendations to the board. Committees should contribute to productive board meetings and facilitate the co-op's orderly operation. Committees enable the board of directors to receive more resident input. Their suggestions and recommendations to the board are intended to represent the cooperative owner's point of view and to offer different viewpoints. Committees do not set policy. Committee members must understand that it is their duty to recommend and that it is the duty of the board to consider and enact. Members who understand the proper role of the committee are less likely to become disillusioned if their recommendations are not followed. The committee may be concerned with but one segment of the co-op, while the board must consider what is best for the development as a whole, both for the present and for the future. The responsibility of making decisions rests with the board of directors. The board may, as the need arises, create ad hoc, temporary committees to deal with specific tasks. Probably the best way to proceed is to do these one at a time and make a motion to adopt and then tweak it as we, or not to adopt if you don't like it.
I would say it's too many.
Too much?
Yeah. I think especially at this stage of the game.
Can we have a motion and then we'll talk about it?
So what would be your motion, just to talk about it?
No, the motion, it's easier to make positive motions.
No, I know, I'm just asking a question.
Yeah. So a motion to adopt would be
Because I
the
don't
easiest
understand the
way.
whole committee thing.
So if you make a motion to adopt, then we can get a second and discuss it, and we can tweak it and change it as we like.
Okay, I thought Jay wants to make a motion to not adopt.
Yeah. You know, if that's what it takes to say, I think it's too much at this point, yeah. That's all right.
Yeah, so just to get it, get moving here.
And I would second that.
Okay, so the motion is to not adopt.
Sure.
This is a little different than what Teresa wrote down. This is what I got from Jeannie last week.
Oh, yeah, that's me.
So,
Do you want to? So now we're dealing with the negative.
well, I'm not trying to be negative.
No, that is
No,
what I
that's
mean. I mean, the
fine.
motion is to not adopt. So then, the question is, do you wanna tweak it? Do you just wanna throw it out and start all over?
My honest opinion is I think at this point, in this stage of the game, it ain't necessary. So I would say throw it out, or table it, whatever you want to do. I think.
Table, yeah.
I-
Cause I didn't
Okay.
understand, like, why are we talking about committees?
Because if we
Yeah.
ask people to join committees, that they need to understand what a committee is and what it does. So I actually thought it was very short. I mean, I had a lot and I shortened it down to this. But it's just to let them know what the role of the committee is, that they're not gonna be taking over for the board. On the one hand, on the other hand, they're very important to the operation. And so I thought that this, just explained what their role is and what the limitations are, and then the specific description. So that was the purpose of it, but, that's, we,
I like it, but I think at this stage of the game, how many committees do we actually need?
Well, we already have the members
we already have
outreach
a committee, yeah.
Right.
We have
Well, that's what I'm
We
saying, I'm
have
aware of
people
that.
who have
Yeah.
volunteered for a bylaws and policy committee, so that's two.
That's,
Those are the two.
And the newsletter, communications committee, that's three.
Do we have to have it in policies committee? Can we just keep it bylaws?
I said governance because, normally
Governance, yeah.
bylaws is usually a subcommittee of the governance committee, and governance this is what the board does, and governance is what I think Teresa's gonna be working on. It's governance, not just bylaws. So, I thought that was, it's standard, it's not a new idea. The idea is in the governance committee, and bylaws is one of the things that the governance committee works on, and, once the bylaws are set, there may be tweaking now and then, but once we've got the bylaws, we've got the bylaws. But we still need, there's still gonna be governance decisions to make.
Policies.
Right.
Now, policies, when we're talking about policies, we're talking about rules and regulations of the park, or,
That's a whole other.
cause I know,
can
cause
of worms.
that's why I keep getting confused when you throw out like policies. I just wanna make sure I understand what we're talking about. So, but bylaws
Bylaws-
don't usually include policies.
Correct.
Policies
They
are kind
shouldn't.
of,
So can we leave
Leash
it
your
out?
dog, sort of thing.
Policies are more like how you do the things on the bylaws. Like because a lot of bylaws leave some open space, and the policies basically show you how you're supposed to act in accordance with this. So if you have something in the bylaws about accepting members, the specifics that you like, what the criteria is like that. It doesn't say all that stuff in the bylaws,
Right.
but you make a policy so that way there's something to be held accountable
Right.
to. So
Because didn't you just say leashing your dog though? Cause that's where
That's
I
a community rule.
Yeah, that's where I get
Community
confused.
rule.
No.
That's different.
Yeah.
That's a city ordinance.
Yeah,
really.
that's
Well,
what
that is,
confuses
I
me.
just,
So,
yeah,
yeah.
that was just
Yeah,
how you
yeah,
run
cause that's where I
run-
get confused.
running the park day to day
Yeah.
as opposed to, so for instance, with the members, the bylaws would say non-discrimination,
Yeah.
but then the actual,
Yeah. What we were just discussing about the recording, that's policy stuff basically.
Okay.
So
Right.
it's just basically how things are run. So that way, say you let somebody into the park who has 3 hits on their credit score, but you let someone, okay, this is a bad example. Basically just so you're consistent. So you
Yeah.
have something that you go to that's,
Okay.
Guidelines.
yeah. Yeah. That was a much simpler way to put it.
standing operating procedure.
Yes.
I guess the way I look at it at this point is we're in the process of determining whether or not it's feasibility to purchase it. So I don't know if it makes sense to start getting all these extra committees involved and making a process that's already full and busy even
Oh, I
more
see.
full. That's where I stand at this point.
Okay.
Once we become a co-op, if we do purchase, then sure, I'm open to discussing this and how we enact it and make it happen. But right now, is it really worth getting all these people involved thinking they're gonna have something to do and excited? And then at the end of the day, you don't know what's gonna happen? I think that's kind of
Okay, I
like,
think, and I absolutely, I agree that the last thing we wanna do is complicate things or disappoint people on one hand. On the other hand, and the reason we started this, we were even talking about forming committees, was partly to get people, more involved in the process and to delegate some responsibilities, so that we're not doing everything, that it was a dual purpose. One, spread the wealth. But no, we just delegate some responsibilities and get people to have a sense of ownership and contribute by contributing to the
And
process.
I agree with that.
Involved.
I agree with that.
So, and that's why we were gonna do this. I
Yeah.
didn't just decide to do this. I
No,
did
no.
this because it was one of the things we wanted was to have committee descriptions.
But then I didn't understand all these other
No, and I
committees,
agree
cause
with
like
that.
I understood, cause I understood like, the newsletter and the membership.
Right,
We
discussed
kinda
that.
already had that, but then
Right.
when all this other stuff
Yeah.
showed up, I'm
Well,
like,
I
okay, wait a
think-
minute, that all feels too soon.
I thought if we're gonna do it right. So we don't have to, have people sign in blood that they understand the limitations of their role. I just thought it would be good
Yeah.
to, have this as part of our documents, that we have it for reference. And that, that's all. Just-
Yeah. No, this isn't a,
So, but if
Yeah.
it's overwhelming,
well, so, I think some of the others are, maybe we could add those later, I don't,
okay.
I know this should be CBO.
The CBOEO?
Yes.
Blowing cold air. Okay, you'll keep our brain cells.
Those in favor of not adopting the committee's purpose and operation policy, please say aye. All those opposed, say nay.
I'm feeling nay now. Because I do agree with like, because we do have a membership committee and we are going to have a newsletter committee. And I kind of feel like, because there were those complaints that came in that there were individuals who had made threats to sabotage the process. I kind of feel like we need to have something to cover our committees.
Well, the other thing is committees had, people said at the open meeting, the one we had where we had at least a dozen or more people that came to that meeting. We sent around the paper to sign up for committees, and they said, well, they didn't know what the committees were, what they
Right.
meant, which is what started
That's what
this.
started this.
So, yeah, so this is, the idea to say this is what a committee is, this is what it does, and these are the specific ones you can choose from.
Can we set a limit then to what we do for committees at this point?
Yeah, mine was wanting to set it to newsletter and
I would
members.
be open to that. I'm just saying, I don't wanna be putting too much out there, making too much happen in a time that's already crunched.
Yeah, baby steps.
Well, the bylaws committee, nobody really has to do anything about that until we incorporate, right?
So
We
only-
are incorporated.
I mean, until we
Purchase.
buy
Right.
the park.
Well, the full set has to be passed a little bit before then, so, but you don't have to start now necessarily, but definitely if and when
So
you're
we
under
have to have
contract.
the bylaws adopted before we buy the park.
Right, but,
Okay,
I mean, you're just gonna be at the point, right now it's feasibility research, and you're
Yeah.
just putting in an
Yes.
offer by May 22nd, then you got another 3 months to do the bylaws,
Okay,
so,
so they don't have to be done now.
no.
That's the point
But
I'm getting at.
also,
We're
the
kinda,
committees, we're not talking about a bunch of people in a committee.
Right.
Right now, the committees are basically, Teresa is the governance committee. And we can have one person as the liaison committee. Committee doesn't have a lot of people in it, it's just establishing a framework. So, and no ad hoc committees, that's just, again, to establish a framework. We don't have any, but if we did, if we said, oh, something's come up, we need somebody to look into something, then we could say, okay, well, it will be an ad hoc committee, and this is what an ad hoc committee is. So I'm really just trying to groundwork and framework for if we do. This isn't obligating us to have the committees. It's not obligating us to get tons of people involved. It's a framework if we do want to. So the members outreach committee it's a done deal. We already have it, and this doesn't change that. It doesn't require that they continue to do it, and it doesn't say that they can't do it unless something happens.
And
newsletter,
bylaws, we have 3 volunteers already, and they don't have to do anything for several weeks. So that would leave the communications newsletter
this
committee
is,
to get volunteers.
it's also it's a backup. Right now, again, as an example, the outreach committee, we don't have to. They know what they're doing, and they can tell us. Maybe give us ideas about other things they can be doing, and it's fine. So this isn't limiting anybody really. But if something were to come up, or if there was more drama about who's doing what, then this is a framework for it.
I think we just did the vote, right, and only 2 people
Well, only 2 people
carried,
voted.
so why not the 4 of us were nays? No?
I actually didn't vote, so
Oh.
I'm not sure.
Well, there are
Okay.
5 people
Okay.
here who can vote, and I only heard 2 yays and nothing else, so.
I would say after your discussion you said, I would say, go ahead and have them there, so that they're available.
So 2 not to
So
adopt
let's-
and 3 to adopt. Is that where we're at?
And I have voted, I think it's, I mean, I put the time to, I think it's a good idea, but I'm also willing to certainly back off if there are good reasons to not do it.
well, and I would reconsider if it was limited to just those specific ones that we've already committed to. I guess
Well,
is what I'm saying.
okay, but that's 2 different things. The motion right now
Yes.
is only concerning the purpose and operations of the committees.
Okay, yeah,
That's
I
the
forgot
only
we're
thing
going
we're
back to
voting on
that.
right
Okay.
now.
Right.
And your motion was not to adopt this. So we'll vote on that, and if we vote not to adopt, then we're done. And if we vote against not adopting it, then we would have to have a motion to adopt. Okay, to make it positive. And then we would just, then we could talk about the committees themselves, but I don't know that that's even necessary at this meeting. We could postpone that. So the motion on the floor is not to adopt the committee's purpose and operation as it's set here. All those in favor of not adopting, please say aye. All those against, please say nay. And this is what I meant by a negative motion.
You're absolutely right.
If you want it, you have to say no, and if you don't want it, you have to say
You're
yes.
absolutely right, and
So my
I pushed
understanding,
Jay into phrasing it that that to move us forward, and I shouldn't have.
Okay, so
No,
kept it
it's-
positive.
my understanding
to
is
make it
the
a
motion
negative
has
one.
been rejected. So, what is now in front of you, does anyone want to make a motion to adopt it? And hearing none, we will go on with business. And we'll just set these aside, and if someone wants to bring them up for a future agenda, they can do that.
Yeah.
They are now tabled.
I would like a second opinion. Do you think that this is overkill? Or if you haven't had a chance, I don't know if you thought of it.
Kind of range.
Well,
The description of
I'm
the
sorry?
purpose.
I didn't hear you.
I just said about trying to change the subject, I was trying to
Yeah.
talk to myself, but.
The
Well,
to me,
if-
description, the overarching description sounds good. We already
We
have
just,
two.
I don't mean
Okay.
to interrupt, but
Okay,
we
we'll
did just
table.
table
Yeah.
this,
Okay.
and if we wanna talk about it at a future
Yeah.
meeting, we can bring it up. We'll put it on an agenda,
Mm.
but right now, we are on to expense research. And Jay was gonna give us an update on Burlington Electric,
Sure.
if you would be so kind.
I will do so. And verify that the current rate that we are paying, or the parenting are paying, I should say, per month for the leased lights is a total of $143 per month. That includes the maintenance on it. Okay, but,
Excuse me, these are for the outdoor lights.
yeah, the street lights,
And
correct.
they're, you said leased?
They're
Yeah.
considered lease lights because they're leased through BED
Okay.
for this set price per month.
Yeah.
And they maintain the lights. So if a bulb goes out or sensor goes out, they're responsible for those upgrades and repairs.
Okay.
Now, is that all of them or per street?
No, that's a month, that's a monthly
Okay,
fee, period. That's what it includes. So, in speaking to Kathy, she also is indicating that BED is working on modifying their lease light program, which would mean they're currently offering everyone who is paying for lease lights the opportunity to take them over. Okay, don't get confused here. When I say take them over, what that means is the way our lights are infrastructured out there, they are fed out of the meter cluster packs, and they're not metered. So if we were to take them over, we would have to have an electrician come in and meter all those streetlights, and they get billed per section of streetlights, which is gonna be a hefty expense. So you gotta factor that in, it's
Are
gonna
you
cost.
talking the expense of having it done, or the expense month to month would be a
Both.
lot more?
We would have to pay to have that done?
Yes, we do. Because BED's trying to shy away from the lease light program, so in doing so, if you're already metered, it wouldn't affect you in that aspect if you took them off. But because ours aren't metered and we do a monthly fee, we would have to have the meters installed so that these lamps could be metered per month and then charged per usage, just like you are at your home. So this isn't something that is gonna definitely happen, but it's something they're working on trying to make happen, but the option of leasing is still there. With that being said, it's going up in front of the Public Service Board for review because they wanna be able to raise their rates. So, in my opinion, even if the rates went up, it would be the best bet for us, only because when you factor in the expense of adding all these meters in and possibly redistributing the electrical lines, and under today's codes, there would be certain things that would have to be added, that would be a really hefty factor of expense. So if we could keep them as they are, they'd be our best bet. I mean, she didn't indicate that we had to do it, but she said it is an option. But after researching it, what would it entail? It would entail a lot more than just saying, oh, let's throw a meter in and call it in. It'd be a lot more.
What do you think the chances are that BED is just gonna say we're discontinuing this program? And then, you know, we'll just be told you have to do it by this date.
That is a possibility, but in speaking with her, they're not trying to do that, they're just trying to give people options. So that's
Okay.
why she said at this point in her email, we're also waiting to hear from our attorney and the Public Service Board regarding the rates, and any changes to the rates are unknown at this point. So they're really not quite sure which way this is gonna go.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
They haven't been maintaining them that good either.
I was just thinking that too. A lot of
No, they haven't
a lot
been.
of surveys I've read, they're not
Well, the thing, yeah,
not very well.
and to their defense,
They're a
they
good
would
thing
maintain
to
them well
have.
if they were called in.
What about if we had, and we need somebody who knows something about this, and I don't know much, but what if we use different kind of lights, like, what are they called now? Not
LEDs.
Yeah, something
Well-
like that, wouldn't that end up being a lot cheaper?
It might be as far as wattage goes.
The installation would cost, of course, but then they could go for years maybe, so
Well,
I think we have options, is what I'm saying, down the road.
The biggest expense wouldn't be, the biggest expense would be the restructuring of the infrastructure. You see what I'm saying? Because they might say in today's code, they're fed out of these packs, but if you're gonna upgrade, then you gotta come out of what they call transformers, that's feeds the meters. Therefore, it's a whole different grid system that has to be installed. So therefore, it was very pricey. Typical, socket, a meter socket, just for a household, you're talking $200 just for the socket. That's not the meter, the wiring, or the guy to put it in. So if you're talking a whole park, think about all that wiring that's gonna be in, that's currently existing. And there's nothing wrong with it, so that's the good thing. So this is just something BED's considering. They're not saying they're gonna mandate it, but they could.
So we just need it on our
We just need to
radar.
have it on the radar.
Thank you, Jay.
Yep.
But I do have the first of the 3 contractors lined up. Here's a description of what they're doing. This is the environmental engineer. The firm is Stone Environmental. We've used them before for another project in Randolph. And we got clearance from Rob and the broker to allow this person onto the property to come do a site visit with myself and Jay. Probably would be, would be good to cover the grounds, but basically kind of sums up on this page the different tasks of, it's called a phase 1 environmental. And basically the goal of this research is to look through title, neighboring parcel titles, environmental database to see if there's any hazardous waste in the parcel or around the parcel that could possibly seep over and cause an environmental liability issue for the co-op, which would affect whether you want to buy something that might have an oil spill that's seeping on its way over. So it's the first round of canvassing for problems like that. And if they do find something like that, then it triggers a phase 2, which is actually testing soil and things like that. This is preliminary. This is mining records, a site visit, looking around to see if there's any visible signs of anything. And it's pretty straightforward, and it's required for any commercial real estate transaction, really.
Where's Jim?
We were farmland, right? So, okay.
So that's to your advantage.
Yeah.
So the co-op that was formed up in Swanton, they were farmland, they had nothing turned up. Milton had an issue, not because of what was on their parcel per se, but a neighboring parcel. It was a junkyard or
Yeah, something like
car
that.
repair, maybe a combination of both, but some oil spilled a decade prior and was
Never remediated.
starting to seep over the parcel, so they had to do soil tests in phase 2. But it turned out it was fine, but still it cost money to do that testing.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Well, 2 questions. One is mold. Mobile homes are notorious for growing mold, especially underneath. Is that something we would have to remediate before we purchased?
The mobile homes?
Yeah. And if so, is it the tenant that's responsible, or the current owner, or the buyer?
That depends on a lot of.
Yeah.
These are not.
And then,
Yeah, this isn't going to be covered in this particular report. This
Oh,
test
they're
is
not
related-
covered.
They're not.
Yeah, this is more like
okay.
this is parcel related concerns that are being addressed here. Any potential park owned property like the house will be inspected as part of the property conditions assessment, which is coming
Okay.
after
But they're not
this.
going to inspect every home and.
No, it just costs too much. But we
All
do
right.
have to, and part of the purpose of next meeting is to talk to the city attorney about how to deal with that issue. It's not your direct liability, but it does
Right.
have, some
Well,
crossover.
my other question was, health and safety compliance is the abandoned homes that we already know
Yeah.
have been condemned and they're a health hazard, and
Right.
we don't need to have that conversation again, but
Right.
not here, but we do have to have that conversation
Definitely.
again, so,
We're scheduled.
next
for
week.
that.
Yep, and that's a start, and
Okay.
that's something we definitely have to address, but the 3 contractors that are part of this process don't address that specific issue.
Do we
This
have
is
a target date?
landscape. This is landscape. Land, that's it.
Yeah. Do we have a target date of when they may be able to do this?
The site visit can either be, I have to follow up with, I think Steve Hubbs, it's either next Thursday we can do the site visit or the Thursday following. I figured that would be good since I'm gonna be over here anyway. So, but the turnaround time from contract signing, which happened a day or two ago, is 4 weeks to prepare everything.
And so we don't
have a
have to
month
wait
now.
for the snow to be gone.
Not for this one,
Not
that's
to
why I
do
started
this.
this one first.
That's great. Okay.
Let's, on feasibility research, this is step one there. But the other part of feasibility research is the expenses, and we're pretty much done except for the big question, which is property management, which hinges on so many other things, like whether to hire an employee separate from property management, whether that employee is going to do filing. So that's really the tail end of generating the first budget. So I'm curious.
We talked about it last time, but I can't remember if we made a decision.
We didn't
So
make
we
a
took the
decision.
stuff home.
We took
though.
it home to look at, that's what, okay, that's what.
And then, based on what I looked at, I'm not interested so much, I forget what you call it now, I'm not so much interested in the full service, but in
Hybrid?
the hybrid.
Yeah.
That's what I thought was the best way.
I am too, yeah. For us.
Yeah.
Based on what we were told and what I read, that's my impression.
It's more cost effective.
Right.
It depends.
More
And
options.
we're not just starting something that nobody knows anything about. We've all
That's a
lived in the
good
park
point.
a long time and you
Yes.
know the park and.
And as much as I think most people at this table would love to say, okay, we already know who we're gonna hire. I
Oh, we
think,
know.
again,
We
we
know.
have to perform due diligence. And if you could get us information about companies or other groups,
Management
and
companies.
Yeah.
management companies, we could send out,
Do you
And
just
our-
want the non-full the hybrid service? Just people
I
with
would
that?
think
or-
if that's,
Yeah.
if
Okay.
that's
I
what
just
the
wanna make sure you're
consensus is,
keeping
then
an
we
eye.
You can get an action on that.
Looks
That
like-
matrix that was handed out last
yes.
week.
Yeah.
Just, I'll basically take those bullets for their responsibilities and put it into a,
That you know or.
yeah, and then if you.
So you will do that for us, or we will do that?
I can, the ones that I know of, I can put it out, if that's okay, if that's what the board wants. But I will also, just to keep options open, look for other ones, and I would encourage someone on the board to do the same, to look for, once I punch that letter out, I'll send it to the board, to the group, and then we can look at other options, but I do know of a couple that I can RFP right away.
The only one I know of is like four seasons, what's that one called?
First choice,
First choice.
they're the ones that Milton and Homestead use, and we use quite regularly. We have 9 crops that use them that they're very good. The downside of them is they're in Rhode Island, so there's a little bit of a lag in deposits, but they do have ACH set up, which means people can just give their banking information and checks that can be just withdrawn automatically, so it's pretty easy.
Automatically.
But we're
I don't.
looking at two different things now. We're looking at money managers and we're looking at maintenance.
She
Yeah.
wants,
The
she
the
wants
higher
options
high-
on
Oh.
property management,
Property
Well,
management as
when I'm
well as
speaking of, okay,
maintenance.
Yeah, you're talking about hiring somebody that, and not the hybrid, not the other part, which is what we would be doing, which is hiring for the maintenance.
no, the hybrid. Okay.
Okay.
My understanding is a hybrid is you have two groups.
Yes.
Yeah.
You have the property manager and
Right.
the maintenance management and the money management are two separate groups. Is that correct?
correct.
Okay,
All right,
so
so-
are you, you're talking about the money manager?
I'm talking about the whole money side.
Okay, and what
Because
about
usually-
the maintenance manager, maintenance side?
Some ideas there, I have less leads that will have to do more research on that because conventionally that's co-ops just hire their own employee and kind of just create an employee job description using the bullets and
Employer, independent contractor,
employees probably the way to go.
okay?
I think it's gonna be more expensive if you look for a company.
Yeah, I mean contractor, there's certain rules for which which follows which. Like,
Well,
if
just-
someone has an existing business and they have different job sites that they go to, including the community, they would be a contractor. But if they're just gonna focus on
That property.
Then
it's
the
more like-
IRS
then
and
it
Department of
should be-
Labor will
they
probably
should be
consider it
W-2
employee.
rather than
Yeah.
1099, yeah, no, I just, okay, we know what we wanna do,
Yeah,
but we don't know if we're
W2
gonna have
is
enough
just,
money. Yeah, okay,
But I think what
Well,
Teresa's
you're gonna-
asking is she would like to see what the cost is to have somebody come in and do those tasks. And I understand why you're saying that, but you're not gonna find one individual there's not very many people out there that have the knowledge of those type of properties, unfortunately. If it was an apartment building, sure, there's all kinds of people out there.
Mm.
When it comes to mobile home parks and things like that, it's just a totally different level.
that,
of
and
maintenance.
that's exactly, because
Yeah.
I know somebody that does property management, I was asking, who else she knew and just what that world was like around here, and that was what came up, that it's all apartment buildings, and
Yeah.
they don't
That's
have
the
the
truth.
experience of trailer park.
And that's
They don't understand
that's
that.
why I can't recommend like 5 people right now
Yeah.
around here. Which that part's the hard part. That's
It
what
is.
we need to kind of band together and just do some homework.
And the connections with the other people you have to subcontract out. And it takes years to establish that and have that. And you know, and I'm being honest with you, if you were to start fresh today and do that, most people are not even gonna be interested because of what it is. They don't wanna crawl on the ground, they don't wanna get under a trailer. It's the reality of it. So, luckily for me, I know a lot of those subcontractor stuff who do this. I get subcontractors every time we set a house, they're the electrician. They go in there, they know the permitting, they know what's gonna be required, they do the job. It's different, and it's sad, but there's not many people out there that do it. And it is different than apartments, like you said, it's a totally different.
Yeah,
totally
it's
different.
different, and
Okay, but again, I come back to due diligence.
Yes,
And, you know, meaning no disrespect to anyone here, but we need to be responsible to the membership to say, we looked at all of our options. So
I think you're right.
if you, I'm gonna address you personally, Jay, because you're a member of the board.
Yeah.
So if this is something you're interested in, then we need to get, you know, what's it gonna cost, what are you gonna provide, how often are you gonna be available, what about equipment, and that kind of stuff. And, you know, that's something that we all need to,
Are you talking about people in your
No,
network?
I
Or are you
think
talking
I think they're referencing me.
Jay
Maybe
wants,
you
yeah,
can-
yeah, Jay
Oh,
is the
okay.
person who
Well,
wants to do
that triggers another
the job,
conversation,
which
which
triggers
Yeah,
a
that's-
conflict of interest conversation that I'm really concerned about, that,
has actually come up at the Rock USA nationwide level in the current set of template bylaws. The bylaws and Rock USA Capital in doing their feasibility due diligence on this deal will pretty much insist if you're going to apply for funding through them that if you're an employee, you can't be on the board.
if it
You can
came that-
report to the board.
If it came that close,
can show up at every board
he
meeting.
could resign if it came that close, because we're not.
Right, right.
Yeah.
well, he isn't going to be an employee until we buy the park
Right.
anyway.
So-
We're not,
You're
we're
cool
not
with
there
not
I just
yet.
want everyone to be
Yeah.
aware of
No,
that.
we're not-
I
we're not
honestly
there yet.
said that if that bridge came, I would cross it, and I did do that, understanding that I couldn't be on the board, absolutely, I knew
Okay.
that.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
knew that.
I'm out of the loop. I wasn't
No,
there last
don't be
week,
a loop.
so-
But was it discussed with
yeah,
you
we
and
haven't
everybody else?
brought it up.
But he can also
Okay.
tell us, he can tell us what we need to ask too.
Yes, and again, for the sake of due diligence,
Absolutely.
when we discuss who we're gonna hire for the maintenance part of property management, we're gonna have to ask you to recuse yourself from the discussion.
That's fine.
Mhm.
And, you know, this isn't a personal thing, and I
No,
don't
I get it.
want you to feel offended
I
in any
don't.
way, and, but, you know, I think it's
Listen.
a requirement of the members of the board.
I agree with you, and I don't argue it.
Okay.
I've heard people's opinions on what they would like. I really, it's humbling and respectful, but at the end of the day, if it don't happen, I'm okay with that. I'm good where I'm at. So I'm good with that. I'm on this board to make sure that I'm doing everything I can to make sure the park stays a park. I've invested many years in that place. So I don't need to be on the board, to be honest with you, to do what I do. And I told you that from day one.
Yes,
No, but I'm just saying, I don't need to be on the board. I
yes,
don't
but
need
we
a
all
title.
want you on the board.
So I have no qualms with if I decide moving forward, if Willing you wanna hire me on, then I'm not on the board, I'm fine with that. Because I would still be contributing.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
And
So
just like other co-ops and other corporations, as a part of management, you come to the board meeting to
Exactly.
report to the board.
Yeah,
Yes.
Milton, my friend, their guy, he was
Yeah.
Yes.
No,
And as a member of the co-op, you can come to the board meetings
No,
anyway.
and I respect it 100%,
Yeah, okay.
and I'm on board with that, and I
So-
would want it done that way.
So just so we have it, so I have it straight in my mind, Jeremiah, are you going to request RFPs from money managers, or you're just gonna send us the information and we'll request it?
I can RFP the ones that I know, if that's what,
Okay.
if the board's okay with that. But my first step would be to generate the scope of services list, get your approval on it, and
Okay.
then we can go from there.
Okay.
If that's
Can you
okay.
have that for our next meeting?
Yeah, absolutely.
And the stuff that I handed out last week, that all like,
That's all,
He's gonna
that's
pick-
stuff that would
mostly
be,
in there.
right, yeah.
He's gonna pick the ones that apply.
Mhm.
okay. And for the maintenance side of it, do you have a template for an RFP that we could use, or?
It's basically that same matrix, there's the on-site column,
Okay.
and then we can add an optional bullet for plowing. Either you provide your bid without plowing, with all the other things, just 24/7 on-call maintenance, that kind of thing, and then you could add in plowing as a separate, just so we, because some people
Well,
might not want
plowing and snow removal, not just
Snow-
plowing,
plowing and snow removal.
it's got to be snow removal. Cause you gotta get the snow from the middle of the road out to the open field, or no one's gonna be able to move.
It'd be great if we could have a recapture system, take all our snow and recapture it for water for the park.
If we could desalinate it and send it out to the Midwest, that was
Well,
a
that
discussion
too.
on the news last week.
Really, yeah.
Water some of those poor cows. So,
Okay, so next meeting, you're gonna give, we'll have
Okay.
we'll take a look at
Yeah,
that.
And if-
I'm sure people will have feedback, especially on the maintenance side of things,
Yeah.
because that's, more specific. The financial stuff, that's pretty replicable everywhere.
Yeah.
So.
And what we're gonna be saying is, this is all, of course, contingent on, us acquiring the park.
Absolutely.
So, okay.
and if anyone has names of anyone they can think of that provides maintenance services, just so we can say we got bids, whether, then.
Plus it's helpful for us,
That
if
would
we
be
ever
right.
need that information again.
Well, yeah,
Because
you
I don't think
yeah.
we really know anybody
So
that.
if you know anybody,
It's interesting, this is not enough people.
yeah.
There's usually someone even
Right.
I agree.
Massachusetts, usually someone on
That's
Well,
the other thing, people that are reliable.
I mean, even to get an electrician or a plumber to do something inside a mobile home is next to
Yeah.
impossible.
Oh, boy, yes, yes,
So.
very, yes.
Okay,
You're
so
right.
we are, wow, we are 5 minutes ahead.
I have
And we-
other
Yeah,
business.
well, that's where we are going now, to open the forum and other business, so.
Okay,
Jamie?
based on what we, I had this handy, based on what we, discussed about communication, I have gotten a request, a Burlington College student is doing a film project on gentrification, and in Burlington, on, what's going on with the building, and he wants to interview, me about our forming a co-op, and buying the park. And I told them that I would need to, discuss this with the board, first of all, before I could give him an answer, and second of all, that he might wanna talk to, CDI, OEO, and Brock, and people that have done many parks, if he wants to know about the process. And if he does specifically want to know about Burlington, then the Burlington process, that I would talk to you, whether I should talk to him, or know we should talk to him, or one of you should talk to him. And that was on Thursday,
College?
Burlington College.
What's your pleasure?
Oh, the point of the film, I think the point of the film is to, this is Burlington College here,
Yeah.
social justice, so the point of the film is to, show that gentrification is happening here, that a lot of the building is going to, upscale, tenants or buyers, and that, affordable housing is disappearing, and this is one way that we can maintain affordable housing in Burlington. And I just might want to consider doing this kind of thing too. And that was our, I was told was his purpose, but I haven't spoken to him directly. So, do you want to talk to him or not?
Does anyone have an opinion?
He wants to talk to anybody or just you or?
He wanted to talk to me because he was referred to me by our main union organizer, who had taught at Burlington College, and then that way they knew each other, and he contacted him when they found out about this, that we are trying to buy the park. I mean, a first step, if we say, we should talk, the first step is to find out exactly what he contemplates. Does he want to have a filmed interview? Does he want to have background information? So I didn't talk to him at all before talking to the
And
board.
what's he gonna do with the film?
And what's he gonna do with it, yeah. So I don't know how far, I mean, I saw the one about when they built Church Street and they got rid of the old Italian neighborhood, and just basically that was the end of that, and the road was gone. And so there was a documentary, and I think maybe 5 people have seen it, so I mean, I don't know where this film is headed.
I've seen it as well.
It's very interesting.
Champlain
I don't
Street,
know
Urban
all
Renewal.
those issues I didn't discuss it at all. I said I'd talk to you guys first.
Well, if you want to speak to you in regards to the process and how this becomes a co-op, or how you become a co-op, that's wrong on that, that's just showing them how it's done. It's not really giving any information that's relevant to our particular situation.
Well,
right?
yeah, he couldn't
Yeah.
have, he couldn't have it.
So I see no harm in that, I mean, if he wants to be
If he
used,
wants to
then
store,
Put that as a motion, Jay, so we have it in the record.
sure. Motion.
Motion to approve Jeannie speaking with Burlington College.
Way too serious for me sometimes, you know?
Preliminary, finding out what he wants, I'd say at this point.
You know?
And then he can decide whether we'll go further, okay?
Hey,
I mean,
motion, yes, motion.
Just to preliminary find out what the scope is of what he wants to do is.
I already know what he said.
You do?
Oh yeah, went from there to here, just like that.
Is there a second?
I've known him since he was in diapers. I know what he wants.
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, you do.
Is there a second to Jay's motion?
I can't second it.
Okay. Jeremy seconded.
The guys are sticking with
Is there any further
I
discussion?
would have if I could have.
Okay, just so I understand, I'm going to find out exactly what the scope is of the project, and then I'll get back to you, and we'll decide whether we're going to do it or not.
Do
Okay.
you know how big a hurry he's in? Is
I
this
don't.
something he needs
This just came up.
within the next couple of days?
No, this
Okay.
came up.
I wouldn't
think
wanna see the kid,
I was
you
asked
know,
on Monday.
final exam getting messed up because he's gonna wait for another board
No,
meeting.
this is a big.
That'd be his fault for waiting this long to
Yeah,
interview
this is,
someone.
exactly, sounds like a big project, so it's gonna be, so, okay.
That's cool.
No,
And also other business, I did go to the NPA meeting last night, and Kelly, we spoke last week that Kelly got an email from Matt about speaking, and I saw Matt last night, and I saw, Jason Lecquier, and they would like someone to speak at the next meeting, and I'm gonna be there, and I said, I asked if it was all right for other members of the board, if they wanna come, and of course you're always welcome, because you're New North Enders. But Jay in particular, if you wanna be there, if they have questions about what's going on with infrastructure and,
We'll see. When is it?
4th Wednesday,
Yeah, let me
March.
think about it.
so. And if you can, you know.
March
you can let me
25th.
know.
March 25th.
25th?
March 25th, usually 7 to 9.
7 to 9, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't know how they got away with that, because we had to be 6 to 8, and they're always 7 to 9.
NPA.
Okay, so we are on open forum, if anybody has any questions, comments, other business? Rod?
So, I actually need to scoot out of here pretty quickly, so I'll try to be brief. I wanted to throw it out to the board to see if you folks are interested in this, but CETO has a show once a month called Live at 525, and we were thinking that it might make sense to do another show on Farrington. I think Brian Pine did one a couple of months ago.
Sarah did one, and Jeremy and I were there.
Mhm.
Oh, okay, so you were, But Brian
Couple of-
Pine wasn't part of that one.
No, Brian
that
Pine
one.
did one, he did the initial one.
Okay.
And then Sarah Woodward followed up with Teresa and doing.
Oh, okay,
two
great.
of them done.
Okay.
I didn't know Brian had done one.
So I wanted to see if there was interested in us doing another one. It might be a way to get information out to folks in the park who are not members or are members, or just in the general public who may be interested in the project. I would probably host it, and I would probably want some of you folks to help me out. So I'm just throwing it out there for you to think about. And then I just had a thought about the reimbursement issue. It occurs to me that it's a good idea to maybe, instead of passing the hat, you, as an alternate, you could consider saying, just wanted to remind everyone who's here that the bylaws say that we can use some of this money for expenses, and sort of manage those expectations and let them know, they might be getting, if, as a very worst case, they might be getting $80 back instead of $100. And because I do feel like it's a lot to ask the board members to hold receipts for a long period of time.
Thank you. So first, what's your pleasure on doing another TV?
I'm not against it. I don't know who wants to do it, but I'm not against it.
You guys have experience apparently, getting their acting chops in, get the cards.
Well, basically, it's just sitting and chatting and answering questions, so. Do you think we're far enough along at this point to do it again, or should we wait a little while till we have some answers?
You wanna wait? Do we have a little more concrete stuff to share?
What kind of time frame?
I mean, right now, do we have anything more than what we said the last time? I don't think so.
Are you have set timeframes you can do the show, or can you move it ahead if you need to, or?
There's probably some flexibility.
Yeah.
It's, I think it's the third Monday of every month at 5:25.
So you're thinking
So
April might be
maybe
better?
April would be better?
Definitely, there's gonna be more happening.
We can play it by ear. If we don't need to decide at this meeting.
Well, by then, we may have some answers, have more information. Is that okay with folks? And
Yeah,
fine.
sounds
Either
good.
way, I'm fine.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think it's worth waiting, I'm fine with that too.
either way,
Do
too.
you folks have any questions for me before I scoop?
We're confirmed next week.
Yes. Yeah, and I think we probably will need a whole hour for that.
Okay,
Yeah. I think I had originally said 45 minutes,
okay.
but
We can go to that.
I can't think of anything else at this point. I have to wait and hear what next week brings.
okay.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Okay, thanks for coming, Todd.
Yeah.
How will you get to, space? Meeting?
We can meet here whenever we want.
It's not just 2 more, we can go on, just keep on?
Yep,
Oh, that's
Tom
great.
said just let him know what dates we need and we can have it. He said if we can't specifically have the library, he'll find another room for us.
That's great.
So right now we have it for the next 2 weeks, and if you want, I can contact him and say book the next 4. So we'll have it 6 weeks out, if you wanna do that.
That'd be a good idea.
It's just nice if we know ahead of time.
Yeah, there's only one thing is I think I'm not gonna be able to come on next Thursday.
Why, that's
You can
good.
bring me something. It's the first
It's
one.
feels a little better
I'm
though, than that.
gonna miss, the only one. I'm Thursday the 5th.
You know,
No.
I know,
No, no.
we have, I was on
I can't
the
walk.
board there when, we rotate the alcohol anonymous.
Uh-huh.
They have their meetings there, and they have, let's see, in a month's time, they have a meeting
would like to speak.
I'm sorry. Well, Stan was
No, that's fine.
saying something. I'm sorry.
Well, I was wondering if there was a fee for the checking account, cause I know I had a merchant's bank account, and I used to have to pay a fee.
No fee. We checked into that before we opened it. There's no
Okay,
fee.
well, don't be surprised if you get $5 a month after a while.
No, and Jeremy has several accounts there. Kelly and I have accounts there. I'm an assistant treasurer for another group that has an account
Okay.
there, and there's no fee.
No
Oh,
problem with
no,
that.
yeah, we have no fees as long as we keep our balance above 1,500.
Okay.
There shouldn't be a problem.
Another question.
Yep.
Is Bob got a receipt book or something to give people a receipt for their payment?
Excuse me.
Yes. Everybody.
We have receipt forms, right?
Yes.
Yeah, everyone
We have
has
the ones from Rock.
Okay.
From Rock USA, so everybody, that's how we know who's paid how much.
Okay, yeah, I'm just, just a thought.
And Jeremy's, as treasurer, he's keeping track of every single payment.
And I had one more thing.
Okay?
On the, trying to raise money for,
Expenses and.
expenses, maybe like, we get like $5 from everybody and take it off as their first month's rent when we become when we actually own the place. I don't know.
There are,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah, I mean, we can bounce ideas around. But I think what Todd said is probably the best route to take right now, because then people can get reimbursed now and not have to wait on, if it's in the bylaws, it says this money's gonna, it's not like we're gonna be using thousands of dollars, we're talking less than $300. And when you divide that by all the members of the co-op, it's, a few bucks a head that it's gonna cost.
I wouldn't have a problem donating a couple bucks. But, I'm not everybody.
Okay, well, whatever the board's choice is, it's their decision, or the member's decision, if you wanna donate.
The more that are willing to, then the less each person has to.
Right.
But, I don't know,
Like the rent thing, you
That would
could
be
do,
good.
but it'd be really complicated, and it's
Yeah.
not worth the $5 a person. Though it is, I
It's
feel like
just an idea.
in the
Yeah,
future
but
that
makes
it is,
sense.
people do like reimbursements everyone, or like deductions, so in the future you can do things like that, but right now it's too much.
we could have a block party if it wasn't so cold.
I know.
Rent
Sounds
party,
good to me.
Yeah.
Could have a massive bonfire if it were allowed by city, but
I
Wow.
can see it now, well, that takes care of the park.
Well, I still think come good weather, we should have a great big community picnic
Yeah, we should,
Oh.
that's the kind of.
out in the lawn.
Yeah.
We have a group, I mean, it's a 14-unit community, but they have a pig roast every year.
Nice.
It was my first time ever seeing a pig on a spit, and I was a little sensitive.
Yeah, it is, it's
Did
terrible,
you-
they do that in the south.
I did, but I refused to look at it.
Good.
Are you gonna give us new ones of this with the changes?
Treasurer and president, right?
No, but taking out the,
On the address.
on the address.
Oh,
the-
yeah, the-
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. I just,
Response I got from the Secretary of State's office
About
Yeah.
about the hyphen.
hyphen, yeah.
Yeah, they'll add the hyphen if we submit for a change of name and pay them $25.
All about the dollar.
I told him it was a typo, can't do it if we don't pay.
I don't think, yeah, 'cause
So-
that's not going anywhere. I think we can use it with a hyphen without a problem anytime we want to. I've been doing that, so I don't think that we can pay for it. I mean, if we can use the NAC, we can use that instead of the whole name too, so, yeah, I don't think we should fork that over.
Does anyone else have questions or other business they wanna bring up?
I'm good today.
What's that?
I'm good today.
You're good today?
You're just enjoying our
We
company.
appreciate that.
This is North Ave.
Items you want added to next week's agenda? Please let me know in advance and we'll get them on there. We are gonna have, one of the city attorneys here with Todd, who's gonna spend an hour with us to talk about things like getting rid of the abandoned properties and working with taxes and,
Yeah, they're working on that now.
well, that's what we're gonna find out.
Is
You
that-
know, they're supposed to be
They're
working on it.
Is that the open part or the closed part?
That's open.
That's open, yeah. Anybody who wants to come.
Speaking of videotaping, I am probably gonna have to meet him next Thursday or anytime in
Okay.
I'm gonna see if I can, but it is more likely than not that I will not be able to make it. So then I will see the videotape and go.
No, you can read the minutes like everyone else.
I didn't wanna bring it up at the time.
Sauce for the goose, Judy.
I know, that's.
Seriously, you got it?
Sarah, were you thinking Ed Tucker?
I had, yeah, Ed Tucker, so we can get grants.
No, but Rock USA, they're also they're a
They get
community
grants
development
too,
financial
right.
institution.
Okay,
So they have to report to the Ford Foundation and all these other funders, so that they actually want to prove that this parcel, this property, the loan is serving low and moderate income residents. So
Justified.
yeah, but they also want everyone to pay their rent on time.
Well, that's the thing, it has to be, it
Yeah.
has to be at
Everyone
least.
here makes like 200 grand.
Hey, if anybody here made 200 grand,
They wouldn't be here.
Agreed.
What we would do is just, mug them, take their money and put Vermods all over the park. I am so impressed with those things.
You want to check them out?
Yeah.
They're
For
putting a
real.
model one, like a demo one in Shelburnewood
Oh,
Mobile Home Park.
really?
Yeah, which is going to be a co-op relatively soon.
Is that the one that's right over the border into Shelburne?
It's right downtown Shelburne.
Oh,
where,
downtown.
Yeah, there's
Like that.
On the
near
store?
the store. There's a restaurant, a fancy restaurant. Kind of that thing.
Where's
the-
Shelburne Inn?
Yeah, Shelburne Inn
Yeah, near the
behind
end.
there.
Yeah, the
I'd love to see
Episcopalian
it.
Church.
Someone
Mr.
said to me,
Palmer?
a
Yep.
candidate said last night that as we remove the abandoned homes, that's what we should replace them with.
Yeah.
And I said, well, if they were more than 50 feet square, you might find people interested, but there's some tiny.
Are they, I thought they were 14 by 17.
Are they?
That's what I
Yeah.
read. I've been drooling over the website ever since they first brought
Well,
it
if they're
up.
14 by 70, then that's,
I think they have two sizes, and one of them is
They have
14
a
by
couple.
17.
I've been trying to convince my partner about them too.
And-
I like it a lot.
Yeah, and they have these energy rooms, so it takes care of everything, heat, air, cold, hot water, everything, and it's
Yeah.
supposedly more energy efficient than all the new
before I
trailers.
forget, and before we adjourn,
I'm not jumping on
we've
that.
been talking over email about a
We-
logo.
Oh, right,
Do
I
we
look
want
at
to
it from a building perspective. All
And
the
then the
energy
Vietnamese
efficient ones
interpreter, yeah,
I've
okay, the
installed in
Vietnamese
the last 2
interpreter.
years,
Excuse
they've
me,
been like,
Jay, with the logo
Jesus.
and then the Vietnamese interpreter. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
Jay's
I-
logo, Jay's.
No, I'm all good, thank you, I gotta get going.
Okay,
Have a good evening, folks.
I thought that what Jay put out was very nice.
Well, that's why I'm asking,
Yeah.
do we want to adopt a logo or do we want to wait and talk about it later?
That's something.
I didn't mean to cut you off, Jay,
No,
but we
it's
had,
good, Teresa, it's not the first time and it won't be the last.
And, is that something
Oh,
we
good
wanna
night.
have the members
Thank
do?
you.
Don't
I
know.
don't know why.
Their addresses.
Yeah, all right.
That's what I'm
The Vietnamese interpreter, I did get a phone number. I called twice and left messages and never got a response.
Okay, and I don't wanna be, I think that it's great that we're concerned about it, I think we should be concerned about it as much as our neighbors, but at a certain point, they're the ones that know the Vietnamese community, and, which is pretty tight in Burlington, and, would know who might be available to do that. Somebody's kid or something that would do that for free and it would help them out. So I think that we've tried, we've addressed it, and at a point it's up to them. I mean, to sort it for themselves. By the way, does anybody in the park that work at the, I can't remember what the name is now, we keep changing it, the little,
No,
Vietnamese guy.
No, they don't.
Retirement, okay.
Bob has this.
Come to Vietnamese people, if you do not tell them they need to do this, they won't do it. You need to tell them that they need to do something. Because right now, they're sitting around, they're not doing anything, because they feel kind of left out, So, I mean, you have to take the first step and tell them they have to do something.
But if we can't get an interpreter,
Then I'll do it, I'll go back and I'll talk to her. Okay, and I'll have her, give me another number. But I can get another interpreter, Baxter, a pastor, but he will probably charge.
Their pastor will charge?
Well, he does, you know, he's more than a pastor, he does it for a living. You know?
Well, okay, well, if he, if their pastors might know somebody in their church who would be willing to do that to help them out. I mean, that's, the church of all places should be able to maybe get somebody who's bilingual to help. But, I mean, I mean, I think it's good that we're involved, but ultimately, they're the ones that know the people that can help.
In the chart, I mean, that raises a question again, if we're debating how are we gonna get Kelly reimbursed for expenses, how are we gonna pay for an interpreter? Because they're very expensive, they charge by the hour.
No, then that should be,
And-
that should fall on them.
Would CBOEO know somebody because they deal with a lot of the cultures?
And
We
the-
possibly
we
did.
did.
Well, I was just gonna.
Yeah.
Sarah had one. Sarah invited an interpreter the second meeting. She didn't know in time enough for the first meeting. The Vietnamese families didn't like her, and so invited their own interpreter for the third meeting. And it turned out that that individual was too busy to go to subsequent meetings. They didn't realize it was going to be kind of an ongoing thing. And then I offered to meet with two individuals at their home. They invited me there, then they didn't answer the door. And later,
It's a very tough culture.
it is a very tough culture. And the gentleman that, remember, he kept wanting to vote for his sister.
Yes.
Yeah, I can't remember his first name, but anyway, he's very kind of like hard to talk to. He gets very flamboyant and like I just sort of, the more excited he gets, the less I understand. So I don't know like how to help them.
Two things I wanted to bring up. One, I used to work as an English as a second language tutor, so you know what I mean. I wanted if someone wanted to meet with someone, I wouldn't mind taking some time. But also, more importantly, I work with the Association of Africans Living in Vermont, and I mean, granted, Vietnam's not in Africa, but they also work with other Asian cultures and such. So I'm sure I can get in contact through them.
Yeah.
But
So then, because the
Okay,
last
that
time
would
that
be
Teresa
great.
sent out the email saying that she had an interpreter and like, what did you want to do? The hard thing is getting them all there. You know, like this one particular woman that I offered to go over and talk to her, she has two jobs. She leaves at 5 o'clock in the morning. She doesn't get home until midnight. I mean, I don't know how to meet her schedule. I don't, like,
If you want, I can go over and I can have her call the interpreter and have the interpreter call you.
I didn't know if maybe could we come up with a summary and put it in Vietnamese and mail it to these individuals, or just with
There's
some
a guy that
highlights?
lives here that can do that.
You know, I didn't know.
He's got this little thing here when you talk to him, he puts it on the thing. And he
Yeah.
How many Vietnamese families are in the park? Is
At
there?
least 4 or 5 of them that I know of.
Okay.
Well, you just think like there's someone you spoke to who kind of speaks English? Is the person you were referring to flamboyant? Is it just
I didn't know how much.
I'd say
That's
agitated.
exciting. Well, agitated, okay, yeah. Well, I mean flamboyant in that he starts, whipping his arms around and stuff. It's kind of like,
Because he
oh,
doesn't
okay.
have the words.
Yeah.
Hello.
Put yourself in their shoes.
Yeah, I mean, I just,
Express themselves.
Yeah.
He's a nice
But
guy.
if there's like a lot of people and it's beneficial, like before I come to a meeting sometime, if there's somebody who wants to meet who at least knows like a handful of English, I can at least try to help if you can't find an interpreter. I don't think you should put the cost shouldn't be on you guys for an interpreter, but I also don't think it should be on them for an interpreter because then they're not going to want to do anything at all if they have to pay for it. So,
And I
unless I
couldn't-
really miss stuff.
I couldn't find the student that did that, or she did it sort of just to help her community, and she's long gone, so I couldn't find her. There are a couple of Vietnamese cops on local police force that are definitely bilingual.
I'm coming with 8, but that's without my glasses too. So, there's 8 that are members, and that's without my glasses.
Okay. Well, that's sizable.
Households?
Yes.
Wow.
I didn't know. Yeah, and then there are like 3 or 4 Bosnians.
That are North End,
one of
just
those
in
are not
general,
actually
very
put-
multi-ethnic. Like it's
Yeah.
really, I
When
didn't
it's
realize how
the
diverse.
the old North End.
Old
too.
North End, yes.
The 166, I think it is, they're not Bosnian, they're Kosovo. 66 Avenue Street.
more than happy
Yeah.
to sit down and meet with a group of people if they have an interpreter and they want me to do that.
I don't think
But
that you can do that. What you can do is just meet with one who understands English and let her have a response, or him have a responsibility of putting it back to the others. You'll never be the person to contact, in other words, from all the other families. In other words, you would tell her whatever she needs to know, and let her go back and tell these people.
It'd be better to one-on-one, because that could be like playing telephone.
And integration is
When
good
she
too,
goes
so
back,
people
and then
don't
if they have a
feel-
question, they can ask it right on the spot, and Teresa could answer it.
Yes.
Yeah,
So,
well, nobody will do that, it's up to me.
yeah, if they're willing to, yeah.
But, if you want, I'll just go back and have the interpreter
I
call you.
can't hear you, Bob.
I can just go back and have her call the interpreter, rather than have her call you, that way you ain't gonna worry about calling.
That would be fine.
That
She
way
knows
if they don't
someone
call,
who's
they don't
willing
call,
to
then
do
you
the
get what you could do.
interpretation, and,
Yeah.
you know, if anybody else wants to come along, if we can set up a meeting, I'm more than happy to do it, but again, I think they need now to take the initiative, because we've all looked and haven't been
We're trying to
successful.
solve
Well,
this,
I
yeah,
have no
because,
problem going back over and telling that, because she has children that speak very good English.
see, that's what I was
Yeah, and
wondering,
why
why they
won't
don't
her
bring the
children
kids, that's
interpret?
traditionally what you
I
do.
can ask her why, because she got, well, she was our customer, that's the one I'm talking about.
Oh, the one in the double wide?
Yeah, her, yeah. Oh,
But is that an issue too for some of the elderly men? Do you know? Speaking to the children, I don't know.
A lot of the men don't speak that good.
You mean a cultural issue?
Yeah, I didn't know.
Yeah, but to have, I mean, it just, it's in a lot of cultures where children are to be seen and not heard, when it comes to being immigrants, usually, I've seen it cross all the lines,
Oh,
the
yes.
kids, it's
Yeah,
their
I mean,
job
I
is to
wasn't sure.
interpret, yeah.
And also just like I know some of the Somalian women I work with, their kids are just easily shy too. Like
Yeah.
they can speak fine English, but so shy. I mean, I don't.
Yeah.
And that's ranging from like an elementary kid to like one who's like in college. It's just, I personally with new Americans it's like something to put it.
Well, and that's why I was saying maybe a
Strain
small
someone.
group, instead of asking them to come to a meeting with, 50 people and having, where they're not comfortable asking questions, if we meet in a small group and just go over the process for them, then that might be helpful.
Certainly, if
And
we
I'm-
could have something in translated for a written notice of the meeting translated, that could help. But it seems like if we need one in, and to see who knows who, maybe they hate each other's guts, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if they consider themselves community,
And then-
or if they don't, so it's really, we're kind of operating blind. But if we get one in, then the communication hopefully could begin, because it was like,
Yeah, knowing what it was like just trying to get a volunteer to post the notices up, I can't imagine what it may be to try to get somebody to say on a regular basis, I'm gonna interpret the agendas for you and the minutes for them.
well, even one time though, we can get the process ball rolling, part of that can be, and in the future, let's figure out what we're gonna do about interpreting, but just to get to sort of get things out on the table about what's going on, and that there are meetings, and that they should be involved, and they should find somebody who can do it. And, I don't know if we can just get that started, because right now it looks like we're just, nobody understands anything.
So their advantage,
Right.
you would think that they would be bending over backwards trying to get together.
Again, if somebody works three
That's
jobs,
what we did. Yeah.
No, but
That's part of it
the one meeting, the second meeting, I think it was, there was a fellow that was trying to do the interpret. And they weren't discussing what was going on at the meeting anyway. They were
There were a few women that were catching up.
yeah.
Catching up on some stuff.
Yeah, that does happen, maybe.
Yeah.
On my end, I'll look to see if I could at least get writing newsletters, things like
That would
that,
be
together,
awesome.
because
Yeah.
I used to live in Worcester, Massachusetts. There's a large Vietnamese population there, and I have to know someone that can at least do the writing end.
And with the Association of Africans Living in Vermont, like they work with Bhutanese folks, they work with Burmese, so I mean again, I can certainly ask them. I don't know if they've come across many people who are Vietnamese, but it's in the Old North End, and they're, I
to that new market, Namaste, on North Avenue. It's Asian, so I haven't been eating, my brother lives in, well, he's been there twice already, but, who knows, I mean, if they're dealing with the public, there's gotta be, some bilingual people there, and I don't know if they're Vietnamese or not, but,
What, at the entrance of the park?
no, it's a grocery store.
Where Lucky
down
Lands used to
further
be.
down. What?
Yeah, where Lucky Lands used to be and Dunkin' Donuts used to be.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe, somebody, goes in there, we can ask also. I will ask, if I can get there, I can ask if, there's anybody who interprets for the country. I mean, we can send out little things here and there, but ultimately, again, it's gotta be their responsibility ultimately, and if we can help, that would be great. And it sounds like you guys,
Yeah,
can
I have,
get it moving.
there's a separate agricultural project I'm working on, and the food grants, so we've been working with them regularly. I work with some Somali women, and now I'm working with some Bhutanese folks, so, and I see people going in and out of there. It's right in the heart of
Do you work with any of the Congolese community?
I have not directly, I have met some.
The business that we need to talk about?
We've got,
Yeah.
okay.
I was just wondering what the garden is used for.
Speak a little bit louder.
The garden, who uses it? If it's the communities or if it's
Are you talking about when you first come into the park, the flowers and things that are there? By the bank?
This is Trisha, by the way. She's a GIS student. She's helping me map.
Oh, hi.
side of
Right
the
now, that's
This is next to the
private
house.
property, that belongs to,
Oh.
we haven't bought the property yet.
Oh, that's not part of the project.
My mother,
It
it was my
it
mother's
will
garden.
be part of the estate as it's sold.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
we were
see.
wondering some.
I was just looking at it on the satellite imagery, and I thought it looked like a garden. Then when we were there today, it
Yeah.
definitely is a garden.
Yeah.
So I couldn't really tell if it was like. It looked like it was plotted out, so I didn't know if it was like certain sections for.
No.
So I'm just curious.
No.
It
I
could
wanna
be,
ask.
could be.
It's a vegetable garden.
Yeah, a lot of
It's
community
vegetables,
owners
She had
allow
raised
residents
beds
to
and
garden.
she had strawberries in one area, blueberries in another area, and she planted other things. She's got asparagus on there.
It was a combination of,
good to know.
vegetables, really, really good, but as part, it is part of the property, and certainly
Yeah.
you can
Like
get
the
it
birds
moving.
for the berries, though. The asparagus do really well.
Do you have any other business to come before the group? Being none, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I second it.
I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Kelly, motion.
Thank you.
I second it. I second it.
Standing vote. Thank you, everyone.
Meeting adjourned at 8:15.
You know, I have meetings almost
And if you are watching these YouTube videos, please make sure to let a board member know, as next week's meetings from then on will not be available. Thank you.